everybody? Welcome to the BizFuel Podcast. I am your host, Eric. We talk about what does it take to fuel your business today. And the goal is to leave with some insights and some great shares. Today, we are lucky to have our guest on, our entrepreneurial guest, Rubi Ortiz from Lechitas. She basically has a wonderful idea many years ago where she has this cupcake that people love and die for. And she started as a business concept that now is rolling out, and she's excited to share it with us in the world. Hello, Rubi. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. So share a little bit about your business with us so we get to understand it and make it passionate and sound delicious, because it sounds delicious when you talk about it.
So Lechitas started off as tres leches cupcakes, or tres leches cakes rather, in my own kitchen at 16. I always loved tres leches, being Mexican, and I always wanted to figure out how to make it. There was one lady who made it in the area, and she unfortunately passed away. And so my goal was to try to make something similar to what she had. So it took many attempts, many failed recipes, until I finally found something that I felt was a great recipe, right? So I evolved that over the years into a cupcake. So it's a tres leches cupcake in a cup. Reason being, mostly, is because most of my customers were saying, I want more milk, right? And the thing about three milks cake is when you drench it in milk, it tends to seep out of the sides, right? So aesthetically, right, you have a bunch of milk flowing out of the sides of the cake. So the way that I thought to give them the flavor that they were looking for while also containing the milk is to put it in a cup.
That's amazing. So you've always gotten it from somebody who was making it for the family, the neighborhood, and you wanted to learn how to make it, and then you realize that there's a better way to do it, that you hold that moisture in and that milk in, and you do it as a cupcake. I'm yet to see Tres Leches offered it as a cupcake, so I'm excited to figure out how to try this. So what, you're 16 years old, and something dragged you to this. So what actually, what inspires you to start this business?
I was a teenage mom. So I was 16 and I was a teenage mom. And I have been working since I was 13, pretty much full time while going to school. I know that's not your typical story, but I was at home with a child now, and I'm like, how can I make some money, while taking care of my daughter? And that is the way that I found I could make a little extra money, still be a little independent, and work from home.
So you didn't, you basically are at a young age, you have a child, you still have to take care of your child and do other demand, but you have this entrepreneurial spirit of like, I want to go out and make money under, no matter what I'm dealing with and how I'm at home. I can find a way to make money,
Yeah.
and I can go ahead and do that. And you did that because, you came out. So what is the story behind your company's name?
So lechitas means milks. So tres leches means three milks. So lechitas just means milks. It's a simplified, cute way, I guess you could say. And the as at the end kind of emphasizes small, right? Lechitas emphasizes small. So I thought it would be the perfect name for a cupcake.
That's awesome. And you had mentioned it with having the small size that holds all the moisture, and it describes it really well because it sounds moist and great on top of that. In the early days, or even, at any part in this journey, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in the early days?
Well, I had never gone to culinary school. I had never really baked like that in my life. I kind of was learning as I went. So in the early days, my tres leches cakes were made with buttercream icing. That's a big no-no in the tres leches world. So traditionally, right, tres leches is made with a whipped cream frosting, right? So I initially started off with buttercream because I would go to back then it was Michael's. I was going to Michael's and they had these classes weekly. You would buy a kit. I believe they still do it, but you would buy a kit from their baking section. And as long as you bought the kit, you were able to go to this class. I think it was like $10 for the whole course. The incentive for them was that you were buying their products essentially. And they were teaching you how to decorate, right? So they were teaching me how to decorate cakes. And I learned with buttercream. So for me, it was easy to kind of just start with buttercream. But the more I evolved, I realized that I had to do a whipped cream. So then I started using Cool Whip because Cool Whip is a little bit more stable. It doesn't melt as easily. And then slowly I learned how to make whipped cream. I ended up going to culinary and baking school and learning a lot more about decorating cakes and
Yep.
about making frostings. And so I learned how to make a better whipped cream. And so I evolved it into a more traditional format because that's what I was searching for all along was the traditional taste of the three milks cake.
So coming out, having no clue what you're doing, but you're like, I'm gonna figure this out. And
Yeah.
then having like each version of it that just got better than the last.
Hmm.
You know, that is pretty inspiring because many people and entrepreneurs might feel overwhelmed with not having it down perfect the first time, or basically not knowing what they're doing and being intimidated. But you're sharing a story where you weren't intimidated and you were like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I will figure it out. Like what was going on in your mind at that time? Share with us a little bit of insight, like what in the head of you being this entrepreneur, what's going on in your head at this time, knowing that you don't know what you're doing, but you're like, I'm going to go out and do it. How do you convince yourself to do that? Like what was going on in your head?
I've always had a huge passion for learning. So to this day, I have a huge passion for learning. I love to learn. I actually am still in college right now. I had gotten my associate's degree already, but I went back for a bachelor's degree. So I am currently in college for finance and cannabis studies. And honestly, I'm very artistic. So if there's something that I see that I like, even with my daughter's birthday parties, I make their centerpieces, I make their party favors. I might not know how to do half of these things, but I learn. I didn't know how to sew during COVID, but I learned how to sew and use a sewing machine and even repair a sewing machine by watching YouTube videos. And I made masks, you know. So I've always had a huge passion for learning. And if I set my mind on something that I want to learn something, I will learn. I'll watch YouTube videos, I'll test out recipes, I'll ask around. But I have a huge determination, if you will, when it comes to learning.
So it really wasn't it really wasn't about looking at you didn't the perspective that you didn't know what you're doing. It was you're talking about helping us to know that it was really about the learning. Like you basically have like, oh, I'm just going to learn it. So you were focused on the learning part, not the part of perhaps not getting it right or not even knowing what you're doing. You were more excited, it sounds like, about the learning part, and that just built that continued to go forward as you continued to learn about it more and more. Nothing stopped you from doing it. So if um, if somebody was looking to break into your field and the bakery and the dessert field, what advice would you give them if they're looking to break into it?
If they don't have any culinary experience, I would highly recommend either learning from someone who does, or even just getting like a part-time job at ShopRite, like in the baking department. They teach you a lot of things. going to culinary school and working in the food and beverage industry, I've worked with many really good chefs and chefs that have gone to school and really stellar, really prestigious schools have told me that they have learned more hands on in the field than they have at school. So, I would say don't be afraid, and just put yourself out there and go learn from somebody. It doesn't have to necessarily be school, it could be working in the field, but don't be scared of learning.
Don't be scared of learning, and don't do it yourself like you did it in the beginning. If that's what you're saying, and go out and get yourself, just expose yourself to it, and all the important information will definitely come. So you have an amazing entrepreneurial mindset and stories that you're sharing. Um, and there's a time, you have this product that you have out there, you have this entrepreneurial mindset, and you're now looking to expand that out, or you guys are getting out there. What marketing strategies have worked best for your business and Lechitas? Up to this point, what marketing strategies have worked, and where are you going?
So up to now, since I haven't like officially launched, I it's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of people trying it. Um, I have used Facebook in the past for marketing, and that has worked great. I have reached out to a lot of people in my community because a lot of people that I grew up with and a lot of family and stuff follow me on Facebook. So that has gotten me a lot of exposure. And just the simple fact of one person tries it and then they tell another person about it has made a huge outreach for me, because once you have a product that you're confident with, and that is good, and you stand behind it, and also customer service also has a great deal to do with it too, because you want to keep that customer satisfaction going. You want to build that relationship with your customers. So once you have that going, word of mouth works wonders. But our next step is we're currently working on our website, and we will be doing some sort of marketing campaign across platforms. There's so many tools that you can use now, but some things that we're looking into is TikTok, Instagram, um, you know, sharing on LinkedIn. I already kind of bookmarked my place in those platforms, if you will, by putting my name in there, my logo, and it's kind of on hold for now until I have my website up and running, because I want my customers to be able to go to the website to see what I'm offering, not just see it me on social media.
Awesome. Yeah. So you basically starting this business, and we'll say that it was not very formalized. You're making it more formalized, but regardless of that, in the meantime, your word of mouth has been really good to you. The community that you lean into community has been really good for the business, and Facebook was a great place for you guys to start. But you're now looking to know, as you formalize the business more and more and grow it, to expand into other platforms. But some of these basic things have worked for you, which is a great, and that's a story. So, you had mentioned to me, you are going back to school. You are, the Lechitas is now becoming more formal. You've been doing it for so long, but now you're taking the risk to grow it and have it be your primary income. And right now we know that you're doing what you got to do to grow that out. So what habits and routines are having the biggest impact to help you continue to think about working on the business? You're busy with school, you're busy with Lechitas, your daughter. Like what habits and routines can you share with us that are helping you to stay focused on this business and to push for success?
So one thing I learned about, I used to manage Starbucks, and it tends to be a lot of work as a manager, especially at store manager level. So I put that into perspective, because as an owner, you're going to have to be at store manager and above level, right? So one thing that I learned from having such a big workload and kind of being a little overwhelmed and trying to um, task out what is the most important, is that you have to always set your top 3 goals, right? And so I have a to-do list, like an ongoing to-do list of things that I need to accomplish in order to fully launch, right? But I have my top 3 for the week, right? So I focus on getting those top 3 things done for the week. And if I get anything done above and beyond that, then that's just a plus, right? But I'm not going to beat myself up over not doing every single thing on my, to-do list. I have to focus and put all my energy into those top 3 items, get those done, and that's essentially my deadline, if you will, for the week. And then I can focus on doing more things.
So that's great. So knowing you're busy, you're able to narrow it down to your top 3 things, and that's the mark that it's important to hit to stay focused on those top 3 things and not be distracted by shiny things or things that are less important in all this busy world. That's great advice for all of us to hear. To stay focused on those top things, and you'll keep pushing forward. Having been doing this for so long, and you're a person who really anchors your life, and everything's about the learning and the experience to get out there. When we go through that journey, we all have failure. How do you handle failure, and what has failure taught you? What valuable lesson has failure taught you in your life? And it could be related to the business or related to anything else, because it all ties in.
Failure just teaches you growth, right? It's not the end of the world. Every failure is a lesson, so you're going to learn from it and you're going to grow from it. And only when you think of it in that way are you going to grow, right? So if you have something that fails and you're just like, oh, that's it, I'm done. No, because you're just limiting yourself. Now, I can tell you just from recipes, right? There's a lot of failed recipes, and you just kind of keep going until you find something that works. Especially when you're developing recipes for new cupcakes. Right now I have 20 flavors. So yeah, you're gonna have some flavors that aren't that great. Cool. On to the next one, and you're just gonna keep pushing through it. Not everything's gonna be 100%. Not everything's gonna be a stellar flavor. But you have to just kind of learn from your mistakes. Okay, you made this new recipe for a cake and it came out flat. What did I do wrong? Figure out the science behind it, the math behind it. You made a cupcake that's too sweet. How can you fix that? So it's really just about kind of analyzing why you failed, and seeing what you can do to fix it, and then what you can learn from it.
So you're going out, taking the risks, and with the risks, changing up a cupcake and changing the formula, going out in the business and trying to do new things. You're telling us that failure is growth.
Yes.
Right. And you're never going to grow unless you fail. And you're giving us a message: is go out and fail. You by the way, you say it in such a nonchalant way. It's inspiring for people to hear.
It's part of life. It's part of life. You're never going to be 100% perfect. You're always going to fail at something, but it's how you handle your failure that really is going to attribute to your success.
And how you handle your failures is going to contribute to your success. That is wonderfully said. And to go out and take the risks, and just like you're doing it all nonchalant. I wish we could all go out in our lives, including me, to be like, it's okay. You fail, you learn, and you grow. It's all good. You've got an inspiring story. So as we get ready to wrap up this, you have this journey of Lechitas, which you started with from necessity, and going out and be like, well, I have my child and I'm going to make money at whatever expense. And that whole journey you shared with us, and all the things that you've done in business and attempting to grow the business and social and where you're going. If you could give one message to a future entrepreneur and somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, what would it be?
I would say, don't be scared. It seems scary because it's unknown, and you have to put your own money into it at first, and you're gonna have to put in a lot of hours to grow your business. But at the end of the day, especially with someone who has that entrepreneurial spirit, just think about it this way. You give your skill set and your energy and your everything to other people every day, right? You work for other companies every day and you build them up. Why not build yourself up, right? Take that skill set, that energy, that passion, and put it into yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're going to build something for your future. And that's why one day I said, you know what? I have been killing myself in management for over 10 years for other companies and putting in 60, 70 hours a week and giving them my all as if it was my own business, right? And building them up and really just giving it my everything. But I've always had this, dream to have something of my own. And so I said, you know what? That's it. I'm just gonna, if I don't take the risk now, we always say one day, right? If you keep saying one day, one day's never gonna come. You just have to, at some point in your life, just say, all right, one day is gonna be now, and I'm gonna put in all my energy, effort, and passion into this, and I'm gonna build something for my future.
Amazing. Ruby, thank you so much. That is an inspiring way to end the podcast, where if you're going to spend the time and effort, create your own future, build yourself up. Thank you so much, Ruby, for being on the podcast today. And just for a little bit of plug, where can we find Lechitas if we want? We will add a link to the page as well. But where can we find Lechitas if we want?
So it's lechitaspasteleria.com. So LECHITASPASTELERIA.com. But I'll send it to you so you have it. But
we'll put it up on the link too.
Lechitas.com. We will have the website up and running within the next couple weeks. We are also on socials under Lechitas or Lechitas Pasteleria. Little cute cow on a cloud. Can't miss it. But yeah, we're excited. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Yes, thank you for your wonderful story and journey and the inspiration. You have a great day, everybody. Thank you for listening to the BizFuel Podcast and our guest, Rubi Ortiz. Thank you for being on today.
Thank you.